Can a band reach the top of the world while they don't even have a place to call home? Think about that for a second. Usually, when we think of rock stars at the height of their fame, we imagine limousines, mansions, and luxury. But in 1993, one of the biggest bands on the planet returned home from a world tour to find their belongings on the sidewalk. What happened next wasn't a breakdown or a hiatus. It was a week of spontaneous magic that changed music history forever. Today we're looking at that very miracle, Alice in Chains and their landmark EP, Jar of Flies. Stick around till the end and I'll answer that question. How did being homeless actually help them create a masterpiece? Before we dive into the nuts and bolts, into the nuts and bolts of the record, I want to share why this one is so special to me. I've been a massive Alice in Chains fan from the very beginning. When Jar of Flies dropped on January 25th, 1994, I didn't wait. I headed straight to the record store and I bought it on CD immediately. I actually still have the original CD today. Just the plastic jewel case is gone. It just got lost or something when I moved. I had to get rid of it. But I still have the original booklet and the disc itself. And this is the original copy that I bought back then. And also back then, I liked this album because I was playing in a grunge band and we were playing lots of grunge covers. And I remember how this EP was influential because one of the first songs I actually learned when I joined that band was No Excuses, and that was in our set list. So that's why this is important. And I want to show you the booklet. So let me open it up. Here's a CD. I usually, I remember people used to steal my CDs. So this time I put my name on it and I use the Sharpie, so that's why it has writing on it. Let me show you the booklet. The booklet is kind of worn out, but I'm showing you it opens up and has pictures and song lyrics. So if you look here, it has all the lyrics and different photos. Then on the flip side, it has the orange kind of filter with, I guess that's a close-up of a bug, and that's the jar of honey, or whatever it is, the jar of flies. I guess that's where it is. But that's my CD. I still have the booklet. I'm glad I still have the booklet. And I'm glad I have the CD because it's a great CD to own. But now let's get back to the story. I want to talk about the eviction and everything else. So to understand the sound of Jar of Flies, you have to understand the state of the band in 1993. Alice in Chains has just finished a brutal, transformative world tour of their album Dirt. They headlined Lollapalooza. They were exhausted. Drummer Sean Kinney put it best when he said after playing loud, heavy music for a year straight, the last thing they wanted to do is come home and crank up the amps. They wanted silence, they wanted a breather. But when they got back to Seattle, they didn't get a breather. They found out that they had been evicted from their shared residence because no one had paid the rent while they were on the road. So imagine that. You're a multi-million platinum rock star and you're effectively homeless. With nowhere else to go, the band moved into London Bridge Studio in Seattle for 10 days. It wasn't just a recording session, it was a survival tactic. They lived there, they worked there, they slept there. At the same time, they were trying to integrate a new member, bassist Mike Inez. Mike had joined during the 1993 World Tour after Mike Starr was fired, but he hadn't recorded with them yet. Jerry Cantrell wanted to check out the chemistry with Mike in a studio environment. Here's the crazy part. Jerry told their producer, Toby Wright, that he had plenty of songs ready to go. But when they actually sat down, it turned out they had absolutely nothing written. Jerry eventually came clean and asked Toby, "Do you mind if we just jam?" What followed was a burst of spontaneous creativity. They worked 14 to 18 hours a day, living and breathing the music. In just 1 week, the entire 7-track EP was written, arranged, recorded, and mixed. It was never intended to be a huge commercial release. They just did it for themselves. But when the label heard it, they knew it was special. On its release, it became the first EP in music history to debut at #1 on the Billboard 200. Musically, Jar of Flies is a spiritual sequel to their 1992 acoustic EP, Sap, but it goes much deeper. If Dirt was about rage and frustration, Jar of Flies is about acceptance and resignation. It's bleak, yes, but also achingly gorgeous. There's a clean, shimmering ambience to the record. They used Ovation acoustic guitars, and they recorded them to sound as natural as possible. At Layne Staley's request, they even used analog tape to avoid any digital manipulation. What you're hearing is the raw, authentic sound of 4 guys in a room. Sean Kinney swapped his heavy sticks for brushes and bongos to keep the groove melancholy without burying the delicate guitars. We also see the band branching out, using a 4-piece string section on I Stay Away and harmonica on Don't Follow. Then there's the vocal interplay. The harmonies between Layne Staley and Jerry Cantrell are legendary, but here they feel more synchronized than ever. Layne's performance is particularly soulful. He had his techniques of closing down his vowels or singing through his teeth, which made him sound fragile and muffled, perfectly matching the lyrics about isolation and vulnerability. We also have to talk about Mike Inez's technical contribution. He didn't just play the notes, he changed the vibe. He often avoided playing the root note of a chord, which created his unsettled or unsure tonality. His bass lines acted as a call and response to Layne's vocals. When Layne held a long note, Mike would answer with a melodic bass fill. It's a masterclass in musical chemistry. So now I want to go track by track. Rotten Apple is the first song. It's a nearly 7-minute epic. Starts with an iconic, lonely bass solo by Mike Inez. It immediately sets the mood of apathy. Jerry uses a talk box here, reminiscent of Joe Walsh or Peter Frampton, but much darker. Layne's lyrics about tragic flight forward, can't be reversed, really set the tone of the themes of disappointment to follow. Nutshell is probably the most haunting song the band ever did. It uses cluster chords to keep that unsettled feeling going. This is the track where the homeless theme hits hardest. When Layne sings, no one to cry to, no place to call home, he wasn't being metaphorical. He was literally living in the studio because he had no house. It's a song about the heavy price of fame and addiction, and it's heart-wrenching. I Stay Away was a huge stylistic departure. It has that bright, optimistic guitar intro, but then the strings kick in. Jerry actually taught the orchestra their parts by playing them on his guitar because he didn't write out the sheet music. The chorus is playfully sinister, and they even slowed down the vocal harmonies in post-production to give it a ghostly, gloomy effect. No Excuses is the lead single and the song my band used to cover. Just the light in the dark, a celebration of the friendship between Jerry and Layne. Has that amazing syncopated groove from Sean Kinney. The only track that feels like there's a bit of hope in it, focusing on loyalty despite the struggles. Whale and Wasp is an instrumental track that Jerry wrote back in high school. It's beautiful. Jerry uses a guitar to mimic the song of a whale, and the cello that comes in halfway through makes you feel like you're drifting in a deep ocean. It's a perfect palate cleanser. Don't Follow is a hobo ditty. It features Jerry on lead vocals for the first half, accompanied by harmonica. It sounds like something Neil Young would have written. It deals with the pain of leaving loved ones behind and reaching a point of no return. When Layne's vocals kick in for the climax, one of the most powerful moments on the EP. Swing on This is the closer, a bit of a postmodern boogie-woogie, has a weird jazzy swing to it. The lyrics explore false optimism, the idea of telling your family you're just fine when everything is actually falling apart. I love the ending of this track because you can hear the band laughing. It reminds you that despite the heavy themes, these were just 4 friends having a blast making music together. So to answer the question from the beginning, how did being homeless help them? It forced them into a pressure cooker. Without the comforts of home, they had to live inside of music for 18 hours a day. That level of focus and spontaneous jamming create a raw honesty that you can't just manufacture in a comfortable environment. Even though it's technically an EP, I think it's a full experience. Some albums are 30 minutes long anyway. This is 30 minutes of pure perfection. It's my favorite EP from any band ever. Even after all these years, it still hasn't aged a day. Still feels fresh, still feels raw, still feels like a hug from an old friend who's going through a hard time. I'm giving Alice in Chains' Jar of Flies a perfect 10 out of 10. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the grunge era, you definitely need to check out my review of Alice in Chains' Dirt, which is linked right here on the screen. Don't forget to hit the like button, and if you're an Alice in Chains fan, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any more album breakdowns. Let me know in the comments what's your favorite track off the EP. Is it Nutshell Or do you like No Excuses? Or what do you like about this album or EP? Thanks for watching. Keep your music loud or acoustic, and I'll see you in the next one.